Listen to the frogs. I'm in the absolutely gorgeous woods of northern Michigan, right by a river. Beautiful place to camp. And I could be here for quite some time. And that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. Because unfortunately, back there, I have some problems. Let me tell you about it. Yesterday began with a spring sunrise coming over Lake Superior. I had just finished camping on Madeline Island in Wisconsin and was waiting in queue for the ferry to the mainland. I'd been traveling the upper Midwest U.S. for a few weeks, and pure Michigan was my next state. Later that day, I made it to a secluded campsite in the Upper Peninsula. This is the Moose Rapids Campground, small natural area where you pay by donation. As I drove in, I noticed nothing unusual. However, now seeing this clip, the clues were all there. Nice! Got a feeling the bugs love it too. As did a few frogs. My regular routine was to chock the wheels, open the window cover, and prepare for the night. However, this time was a little different. Well, it's almost dark, but just as I was setting up, I discovered something that's really, really bad. Had this happened when I was on the highway, it could have been a catastrophe. I don't even want to think of it. I'm by myself in a campground. There's nobody around, and I'm stuck. It's late at night. I've got the antenna up. Hopefully I can get a little bit of a signal in the morning. I really hope I can get it fixed. Rather than panic, I needed to sleep on this and reassess in the morning. After I set up my camper yesterday, when I opened the cover for the window, I tried to open the cover for the storage area right here, but it's jammed up, and I was trying to figure out, why is it jammed? What's going on? And I looked underneath, and guess what I found? Right here is a crack. A really, really bad crack. That's right on the main frame. That is super, super serious. A cracked frame. What could be worse? Well, let me tell you. Because when I checked on this side, guess what? Same thing. Actually, it's even a worse crack here, and it's actually sheared right off. Two separate pieces now. That is really, really bad. This is as serious as it gets. I can't go anywhere with this trailer right now. I mean, if that had happened on the highway, that could be fatal. This is just very, very bad news. I've got some jacks. I brought some bottle jacks. I'm going to jack it up, and I'm going to see if I can get some help. What I'm trying to do is put a piece of wood between the two and prop them both up. That'll relieve the pressure on the joint. Okay. Now, I usually do bring bottle jacks, at least one, but because I had two at the cabin, I brought both. And it seems like that was a good move. Now, even though I wasn't expecting the frame of my camper to give out. Okay. Yeah, now I've got separation, in that storage area. And it's safe to go inside the trailer right now. Okay, well, I got some calls to make. But in the meantime, a little history of my camper. I bought it used with a steel frame, but I was tired of fighting corrosion. While steel can rust, aluminum forms a protective coating which requires less maintenance. I therefore had a new aluminum frame installed by the manufacturer over 2.5 years ago. Oh, it sends shivers down my spine. What could have happened? I'm so glad that I found this out in time. But it's kind of a lesson here that you really have to expect the unexpected when you're traveling. It's nice to be in remote locations, but make sure you have some kind of a signal in an emergency. Because I have the booster up, I have enough signal that I can actually make phone calls. And the first phone call I made was to the manufacturer. See if they've ever had this problem, and they have not. It's new. I think they found a fabricator that can come out and try to fix this. I'll know later on today. But right now, I guess I'm just gonna stay put, enjoy the view while I can. It's a little cold this morning, but I'm not going anywhere. Where am I at? I'm waiting around. Nothing's happened yet, but I did talk to a fabricator. They're going to try to come out. Unfortunately, they have 2 other calls before me, so I just have to wait around. And what they're hoping is that they can come out with some steel and some brackets or braces and just hold it together, brace it together so I can drive it out. But fingers crossed, hopefully somebody can get out here and we'll see what is going to happen then. At around noon that day, I finally had some visitors.
You like off-roading with the camper? I do.
These were the welders that came out to assess the situation and see if they could come up with a temporary fix. Bad news. The welders that came out, they can't fix it. And they can't brace it so that I can tow it in myself. It's going to have to go to a fabricator in Marquette, which is about an hour away. And I've got to get it towed. There's no other way. Now, I did get a number of a towing company and I called them. They will not take it. Now, I am a member of AAA and I called them up and see if they had any recommendations. They think they have a tow truck that can take it, because the problem is they can't tow it behind a tow truck. It'll get worse. It has to be on a flatbed and it has to be strapped down and the frame secured. And not every towing company can do that. So I'm left. It's been all day and it's going to be dark again soon. Hopefully a tow truck will come out before it gets dark, but who knows. And I'd really love to enjoy this campground, but this takes priority right now. I really have to admit, my anxieties are pretty high right now. I really depend on this trailer. And it's a good old wagon, but it done broke down. I really hope somebody can fix it. And it's not going to cost me an arm and a leg. But I'm just stuck waiting, hoping a tow truck's going to come out before it gets dark. And that they'll even take it. I don't know. And if there's a cloud in the silver lining, it's that at least I still have the Jeep. I mean, that's part of my plan on having the tow vehicle and the camper, is that I always have one if I don't have the other, so I can still get around with the Jeep. Maybe I'll have to find a hotel or something, a motel. I really don't know. I'll have to wait and see, but that's my anxiety. I don't know. Just gotta hang in there. It'll all work out eventually. Always does. Oh boy. Night is coming and no tow truck. I discovered a few things I didn't know. When you get AAA, American Automobile Association, and they advertise that they'll cover the towing and everything else, well, they cover some tow drivers. They don't cover all. And that's why I am still sitting here. It is 7:30 at night. It's going to be dark soon. I've been waiting for hours for a tow truck that hasn't come. I had to keep calling, and finally I got one about 40 miles away that will come out. And I have to pay them and hopefully get reimbursed by AAA. So read the fine print, I guess. But hopefully in the morning. There's no point going out now. It'll be driving at dark, and I don't want to follow behind at dark anyway. I don't like driving at night, especially when I don't know the area. So hopefully in the morning I'll have a tow truck and I can get my wonderful trailer fixed. But now I'm just gathering mosquitoes. I'm bringing them into the trailer. So it's time to call it a night. Go away. The morning of the third day was a cold one, with temperatures overnight below freezing. My heater kept me warm inside, but the mist in the water and the frost on the windshield made it feel like winter. Well, it's the next morning. Been stranded here for 2 days. Hopefully this morning the tow truck arrives. One step at a time. There he is.
Morning.
You must be Joe.
Yeah, I'm Joe. All right.
To avoid further damage, I had not unhitched the trailer since I arrived, but had now backed up the camper for loading.
So,
With the cable attached, my camper was carefully dragged using the jackfoot as a sled. Blocks were added under the frame for support, and everything was strapped down. After 2 days of sitting, my trailer was finally traveling again. Well, the trailer's loaded up. It's a bumpy road. It's kind of swaying back and forth, but I'm hoping it'll be okay. Oh boy, that's scary. Although it was only 6 miles, it took 45 minutes on that rough gravel road before it reached pavement again. Soon it was back on the highway headed for town. A side note about RVs on a flatbed: you must have enough clearance for bridges and power lines, or the tow truck won't move you. My trailer is only 8 feet high, so there were no issues. After about an hour and a half, we reached the fabricator. But things didn't go exactly as planned. Great! More bad news. I took it into a fabricator and they can't take it on. Look at it in another place. I mean, it's still on the tow. There it goes. I gotta follow. Hopefully we can find somebody that'll do it. I had no idea it was gonna be this difficult. The next fabricator was in Harvey, a small little town just a few miles east of Marquette. After a quick assessment, the owner felt he could handle the job, so my camper was finally offloaded from the tow truck. Things were looking good as it headed for the garage. With my camper now in repair, it was time to do a little exploring of the area. Marquette, Michigan is the largest city in the Upper Peninsula, with over 20,000 people calling it home. It's named after Jacques Marquette, also known as James Marquette, a French missionary and explorer who first visited the area in the 1600s. His statue overlooks the city from a hill. Now a university town, it has many colorful shops and galleries, but it is also a port, with a big ore deck on its shores. Although no longer in use, the dock provides a unique backdrop to the harbor, with its history still visible in the clear waters of Superior. Cargo ships sail by from Duluth, and there are many bike paths and walkways to enjoy the view. The beach looks pretty, but the waves are too cold and rough for any swimming this time of year. It's next morning. Let's check how the shop's doing. Wow, looks like you made lots of progress.
Yeah, it's going along nicely.
Right on. Oh, you've got some welded on there already.
Yep, so what we originally did was ground out the original failure here, the crack on all 3 sides that we could reach easily, and fill weld and then ground flush again.
Okay.
The next step was adding this bottom reinforcement plate along the bottom of the frame here, which will then tie into this bent side plate here. And again, with a repair of this nature, on aluminum welding, a fillet weld is a lot stronger. So we'll overhang this a little bit, even though it's not cosmetically perfect. Again, it's a lot stronger weld bond in that fillet layout there. And after that gets put on, this top plate, which is the real reinforcer, will get slid.
Oh, underneath, yeah.
And
right above there.
And boxed in there. Still have a little bit of pushing on the frame to do on this side, but and that will be welded all the way around and pretty much terminate all of this triangle body here. So the frame will be connected from here to back here, as well as that whole triangle.
Solid as a rock.
Solid as a rock.
Well,
or solid as a block.
Let me just look on the other side, because you already did some of that, right? Okay, yeah, now this one's already done on this side. You can see there, and there's the plate welded on top, still a little warm. Oh yeah, that looks secure. Although some of my floor insulation was destroyed, it was all for a good cause. The frame was now fully secured from the side, from below, and a full-size top plate above. Even the frame struts were welded to the top plate, and new stainless steel bolts secured the body to the frame. A few more welds and the job was complete. Well, looks like you're almost done there, Kyle.
Yep, pretty much got her all finished up. She's just about cooled down.
Right on. Now, the question is, now that it's back and I can use it, any idea what caused it in the first place?
You know what? We see this failure quite a bit. It's just kind of the nature of the beast right here at the tongue of the trailer, where all the weight and everything comes together. That being said, speed, obstacles, and tongue weight is always a big one. Just watch how you're loaded, watch your axle weight, and all that.
That's really important. Although I do load it to the max, the problem is I'm on the back roads a lot.
Oh yeah.
It's an outback. I'm there. But the loading is important. I have been trying to take as much as I can off the front, but I still have my propane in here and my spare can of gasoline. So yeah, I gotta be conscious of that. Maybe I do have to move a few things just a little farther in the back and I should be good.
Yeah.
So is it ready to roll?
She is ready to roll. We'll get you on the road here.
Right on. Well, thanks, Kyle.
Hey.
Now, Kyle is a fabricator in Harvey. If you're ever in the area, you need some welding, this is the guy to call. Yep. And the name of the company
is Solid Block Machining and Welding. Again, we do all sorts of machine shop style repairs, welding, fabrication, and again, yeah, we're here in Harvey, Michigan, right outside of Marquette. So if you're ever around the UP, come give us a holler.
Kyle's the man. All right, let's get her out. It was like seeing your best friend leaving the hospital after a successful operation. Just by coincidence, the Outback's American sister, the Scamp, was also at Kyle's shop for a new axle. It was nice to see them side by side. The next day, I was off looking for a new campsite. Well, now let's fast forward in time because it's been at least a couple of weeks since this problem with the frame happened, and I've put about 1,500 miles or about 2,400 kilometers. I've gone through highways, interstates, back roads, and yes, back in the woods where it's a little bumpy. Any issues? None whatsoever. I mean, I've been inspecting it the whole way. I make sure I pull off at rest stops and look all around. I see no cracks. I see no problems with the frame, so I think it's good. But I wanted to give a little takeaway of my thoughts on not only how to prevent this from happening in the first place, but always being prepared. Simple ones, like first of all, making sure you have a toolkit, make sure you have jacks, having blocks of wood, all the tools where if something like this happens, you may not be able to repair it, but you can at least stabilize it. And I think what was really, really important in this trip is having a cell signal. Having my cell phone was just not enough. When I was in there, I did not have enough signal to even make a phone call. What saved me was having an antenna and a cell booster. So I highly recommend cell boosters if you're traveling and if you're going to be away from the cities. out in the woods where you might get in trouble. The second one is a little more obvious, is getting insurance for emergency vehicle assistance. Now, this was a challenge for me because I thought I had good emergency roadside assistance, and I did not. American Auto Association has let me down. I'm hoping they're going to be paying some of the expenses from the towing. I'm still going to be talking to them because I'm not very happy. But look into AAA or the Canadian branch CAA, but also be aware that there are alternatives. And I'm not going to list them, but do ask the questions before you head out. Is there any time where I will not be covered for a tow? Now, along with having jacks, tools, and everything, there is one other thing you need, and that is an emergency bag. This is just clothing, toiletries, a few things, like cords for my phone, batteries and all that. Carry this with you. Have something so in an emergency, if you just have to grab it, you can go off, you can go into a hotel. You don't need food and water. You could put maybe a bottle of water and some snacks, but the purpose of this is not to survive. It's just you've had a breakdown, you're probably going to leave your vehicle there, the tow trucks or somebody's going to take you out. Have a little bag so you're prepared. It's also a good idea to have a first aid kit in here as well. So let's face it, I was really, really lucky this happened when it did, because it could have been a lot worse. And yeah, I've got less money now. It cost me to fix it up, but I think I have a better trailer. I think in hindsight, when I had this frame put in, I should have asked for further reinforcement. Now, this wouldn't be the same for everybody, because if you're just using an RV and regular travel, if you're going to RV sites and if you're just going on interstates, this probably wouldn't happen to you. However, if you're out in the hills, if you're on the back roads, you might think further reinforcement. Now, as far as loading, that's the other thing. I don't have a lot right here. I mean, inside, on that side, I have the lithium battery. On this side's just the shower. And as far as the storage area up here, I've got one tank, a 20-pound tank of propane, which I guess is, 35 pounds? A jerry can of gas, and a few tools. There's not a lot of weight on the tongue. I think most of the weight is by the wheels, and the only exception is the refrigerator. But it's at the location it was before. In hindsight, I'm going to keep more loaded in the back and not put too much in here. Now, I know people are going to ask, well, how much did all this cost? I had a budget for the whole trip, and those 2 days I blew the entire budget. So yeah, that'll tell you that if you're planning a trip and you're looking through like your camping expenses, fuel, food, and everything else, whatever you come up with, at least double it for the unknowns, the repair, and if you're smart, I'd even triple it.
Ooh. Beating up the trailer again.
I hope you enjoyed this video, and check out my others as well.
Bang!
So what broke is now fixed, but is that the end of my challenges? Please be sure to follow me on the next part of my adventure. Happy trails!